Good morning, everyone. Facebook world, YouTube, and LinkedIn. I'm as excited as a dog with two tails, I'll tell you. We have got the most wonderful, inspiring, fun guy who actually knows business, particularly small business and help. Well, he speaks to big business as well, but in helping people to really get their stuff together with small business. But I'll let him introduce himself. Ramon Ray, would you like to say g'day to viewers, well, not just Australia, but in America and all around the world?
Good day, Australians. Good day, Africans and Americans and New Zealanders and Japanese alike. So thanks for Trish for having me. It's really good to be here. Ramon Ray, definitely here in the vacation capital of the world, otherwise known as New Jersey, and really excited to be here. My passion is definitely helping small businesses to inspire and educate them to start and grow successful businesses. Founder of smarthustle.com and entrepreneur in residence at Oracle NetSuite. So I'm really excited to be here. Good to share the stage with you, Trish, and thanks for inviting me to be here today. Thanks for the knowledge I'm sure that we're going to impart to your community and your audience over the next few minutes as well. And anytime I can share a story, and more importantly, not about me, share insights, I'm always happy to do it. So thank you.
Oh, look, it's a thrill to be here with you and to have you on. And we are going to get into it and find out a lot more about what you're about right after this.
The strongest prison bars are in your head. Leaders and teams, it's time for a jailbreak.
Welcome back. Hey, you like that? It's very good. Now, Ramon, tell us a little bit about your start out in small business and what you do with your company, Smart Hustle.
Sure. I'll start with the last question first, and then I'll start at the beginning, and you may have to pry a few more things out of me. Sometimes people say, Ramon, that was too brief.
Yeah, and give us the URL of the company.
Sure. Today, so I own Smart Hustle, and we're a media company. We do three things. One, it's the vehicle for Ramon as a speaker. I travel around the world. I've been to Australia as well, and help to inspire and educate small business owners all over the world. Companies pay me to speak, so I'm a paid speaker. The second thing we do is a content company. So we work with very large technology brands and help them better reach small business owners. We do that through the content we produce for them, and then we take that content and amplify that content through the Smart Hustle network, and that also includes the events that we produce. The third thing we do is, of course, we have our community of small business owners, which is online through a variety of platforms. Much of the content we give away for free, and then we have a few other ways that we monetize that content to provide a bit more premium services to our community. But that's what I am today, smarthustle.com, the founder of that company, and I can go into the beginning journey, Trish, if you like, or I can pause there for a bit as you wish.
Well, yeah, I always like to know, the background and how you got into that. And you have a wonderful story of having worked for the UN, which is pretty impressive, but that didn't work out the way you thought it might have.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, and if it did work out the way I thought it was, Trish, imagine, I wouldn't be here today talking to you. I'd be in the UN saying bonjour, arigato, or comment allez-vous or something. But yeah, the summary of it is, Trish, I was born in the Midwest, and born to great, amazing parents. And as a child, I had a knack to be in the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, the U.S.'s federal, investigation agency, as I'm sure many of your listeners know. But I went through college, went through high school, and et cetera. And kind of right out of high school, I applied for my first job. Trish, all I wanted was a check. I just wanted to get paid. And a friend of mine, and in fact, a member of my church, said, Ramon, why don't you apply to the United Nations? So I applied and I got a job at the United Nations, and it was a good job, paid very well, and I learned quite a bit and got to work in an international environment. And actually, I rubbed shoulders with many heads of state and many amazing presidents and prime ministers and others. But it wasn't satisfying there. And there I kind of got the taste for entrepreneurship. Not sure exactly how or why, but I know that there was a time where I started a small technology consulting firm. And I was just wiring networks and helping with install software, upgrading computers. This would have been 20 or more years ago in small offices. So that was company number one. And I guess I did it because he had a need. And he's like, I'll pay you if you can solve it. Maybe that's kind of where the light bulb went on that, hey, the UN is good, but I had a thirst for other things. So the summary of it is, those are the four companies I started, Trish, if that's helpful. The technology consulting company, which I dissolved. Second company was smallbiztechnology.com. In essence, a blog, but I sold that 20 years ago to the date 2 years ago, which would have been 2019. That was said in an awkward way. The third company,
you
please.
created a blog. You had a blog
Mm-hmm.
that grew.
That's right.
And you obviously had a lot of subscribers, a lot of followers, so good information. And you actually sold the blog.
That's right. Sold the
Right.
blog to another blogger, in fact, who had a company. And I think that, you may have heard in the news, there's a German company, I forgot, who's rumored to have buying Axios. The same company, I think they bought TechCrunch, for example. That's the wrong company, but meaning there's big billion-dollar companies that are doing it. But Trish, as you may get a sense, there's small-time people like us who are like, this blog reaches some people. This blog reaches some people. Let me buy them. So that was that journey. That's helpful.
Yeah, and that's one of the great things, like because you work a lot with small business, and they might have a blog that they might attend to sporadically. I tend to post with this interview. I do these interviews, plus I do little like shorter media presentations on building resilience and mindset and so on, and I put those on my blog. But what I've found I was not consistent until I started doing these interviews, and I was committed to doing them. And not only do they go here, but you can repurpose what you do and put it on a blog. And it can be, I have the video and the audio podcast and some text on the blog, like the outline, because you can get the transcript from your YouTube.
That's
and
right.
place that as well. So you don't even have to be really great at writing, or you can outsource and get someone. So I want to encourage people that they're, talking to someone like Ramon, it stirs the juices of creativity of what you can do.
Absolutely.
So this is getting me all energetic and ready to go. Remember your blog. You might be doing lots of things online, but a blog is a powerful thing. And if you do it right, you can actually sell it to someone who can take over and keep contributing the kind of material that you put out. And they've got that subscription base. That's where the value is. Would you say, Ramon? It's
Absolutely.
in that subscription base. Yeah.
And I think to extend that even further, which is great insight, I think that also the main bulk of it, you should have some sort of high numbers of one short or another. But I think that also, for example, how I monetized it, you may have a smaller community, but maybe they're very engaged. So that's kind of a second asset that it could be, or three. In my case, my blog was around for 20 years. So even though the traffic wasn't as high as it necessarily could have been, whoever bought it said there's value in this name, Small Biz Technology, that's been around for 20 years. I can invest and add more writers to it and grow it. So yeah, you can do a lot of things with the blog. And I must say, Trish, as well, it was kind of the flagship of Ramon, and was the catalyst, as it were, if that's the right English word, of my speaking. And even today, even though I don't own Small Biz Technology, Smart Hustle, it's a great vehicle also. Not just we do earn money from it, but of course it's the flagship of my brand as well.
Right. And then out of that too, people might pay a subscription to belong to a particular group within that. Is that something that you do with Smart Hustle?
Correct. And that's the third leg. So the first leg is Ramon just as a speaker. Second leg is the content we provide in events. And the third leg, which we have some room to grow, we're just stepping into it. But we have, as you have, Trish, thousands and thousands and thousands of people who follow Ramon or Smart Hustle. So we're thinking in an authentic, in a good way, how do we serve them more by providing them things they want and being fairly compensated for that? So that could be books, that could be workshop courses, whatever it may be. So we're getting into that, yes.
Well, that's right. And rather than thinking of it as what you're getting from people, you as you said, you're serving. Yeah. And even from the point of view of a resource, there are people that, there's the generalist material that you might put out. But then when people subscribe to you, like if you're out there and you're listening and you're thinking, what do I offer that might be higher level, you could make that more targeted and more defined so that people get better access to your expertise.
Right. Exactly right.
So think in terms of those layers, because people want access to the expert or the expertise, whether it be from one person or from the team that's there to help take you forward. And that's a great way to build a resilient business, because that's the theme of our show, is about being resilient. And it is about mental resilience, which we will visit in a minute, but it's having a business structure that is sound, that you can then go off and do. And what Ramon does with Smart Hustle is, and I subscribe to I get an email, and you have got the most interesting, you and they're not just all what you produce. You've curated some articles that I have found really, really helpful.
Thank you.
Truly. And so, I would recommend I'll put it up again, smarthustle.com. I didn't put the HTTP and everything. I just want to make nice and clear. So Google Smart Hustle and perhaps Ramon Ray.
Sure.
And you can see his name, how it's spelt, right there on the screen. So Google those and go exploring, and try not to spend the whole day, because you could spend a whole lot of time there.
Thank you, Trish.
Yeah, very good. So, all right. So that's about helping others, and that requires constant output. So someone like yourself who is constantly providing for others, how do you, and it's a bigger business, plus you've got your speaking, how do you allocate time, and where do you source things that rejuvenate you, given that there's so much out there that's vying for our attention?
You're right.
How do you take control? And I think you might have a touch of, I'm not diagnosing, but I'm thinking you're a high energy, slightly hyperactive kind of. I'm like all over it like that. So how do people like us who are kind of all, how do you be still and choose resources and get that focus to stay resilient yourself and keep going without burning out?
And Trish, you're right. I mean, and people like us, I can say we have to be careful. Speaking for myself, but I'll speak for you for 2 seconds. We have to be careful, because we can easily, whoa, squirrel, as it were, over there in some degree. Some people it's more, some people it's less. But I do have to be careful. So that's one. I think two, and I got this from a friend of mine only a few weeks ago, Trish.
Okay.
And I'll just shout him out if I may. Actually, I won't shout him out, but he's a pretty well-known guy. But the point is that point number two is that he said, be content. And so that helped me. And content, how I interpret it, Trish, that doesn't mean I don't want to do better. And that doesn't mean that I have to be satisfied right here. But I think the power of be content means I don't have to always, Trish, she has that beautiful pink looking logo. Wow, my logo doesn't look as good as her. That's if you understand what I mean. That's where contentment means, I have some nice stuff too. Let me try to do better. Let me learn, but I don't have to always be rushing. So that's point number two, I think, be content. I think three, something that's helped me quite a bit, Trish, is just have good habits. I know I don't have a lot of habits. I'm not like one of these mindful people, which I should be. I have a lot of issues in that, but I think I'm pretty disciplined when I wake up. My push-ups, my stretches, my devotions, bottle of water, granola and fruit. I can rattle them about those 7 things. And now I do a 30-minute power walk. I pretty much do that every day. So if that's helpful, those are a few things that I do. And actually 2 other things I'll add, and we can come back to it or we can move on. But I think learning how to say no, that's another thing that's very important, saying no. And prioritizing. I think those are 2 things that are helpful, and have a good team. So I'll stop there. I can go on.
No, that's true. And for those of us who are overcoming people pleasing, and saying yes to everything, and that actually can happen in when you're building a business, you can feel like you have to say yes to everything, and it might not be a good fit.
Right.
Because, with the Pareto principle that, 80% of your income usually comes from 20% of your sources. And 80% of your problems and headaches can come from 20% as well if you're not a good fit. So, what you said about being content, it reminds me of that concept of FOMO, that fear of missing out. Look what this person's doing. Look what this person's doing. And yes, it's easy to make comparison. And then you rush out and buy all these programs and bells and whistles. And I have been guilty of, there are so many programs.
That's one of them right there. One of the FOMOs right there. I'm showing my in-ear piece for those of you if they're listening to it only.
Well, that's right. And, I want to have a TV show that looks nice. Hence I've got a nice set. I've got, and you look great. And I've got the good equipment, and I've got an overlay that has my branding. There are things that I see other people do that swish across the screen and do all these amazing things. But I don't have a team pushing buttons for me. This is it. And every now and again, my head of marketing will give me a message in between. There might be, and it's like, hey, this is real. This is us. This is how we do it. But we still keep going on, So I think what you've given people is some real wisdom there. and everything we say yes to means, or everything we say yes to means we are automatically saying no to something else.
That's right.
And I think that's where Smart Hustle can be very helpful, because you have a community where people can get some help on moving forward in their lane for those resources to. Sure. And you have a Facebook group as well. What's your Facebook group called?
Smart Hustle Nation. And I think Smart Hustle Nation. And to your point, I think people are lonely, Trish. So I think that whether it's platforms like we're doing to help others or otherwise, but I think people are lonely. I think that's one. And I think two, people are looking for answers. You know, the new mom and dad who just had a baby, they're wondering, how do we stop the baby from coughing? The new business owner is wondering, how do I get my first line of credit, or whatever it may be. So I think people are either lonely and want to be with others, and or people are seeking information, which is very important.
I think that's right. And that's what I do. I mean, people sort of complain about social media and, you know, it's all time consuming and so on. But when you've been in isolation and when you're working I'm a people person and I work alone, you know, quite a lot. And it drives me crackers sometimes. And I need to jump into a group and touch base. And in fact, I think I do more with Americans than I do here in Australia, and it's only because it's the playground that I get some traction in, and I'm a morning person, so quite often I'm quite often up at 5:30 and making calls at, you know, or being on Zooms and doing things at 6, which is your evening. Now, right now it's 9:15 in the morning, Thursday morning here where I am in Australia, in Brisbane, which is the eastern coast. And tell us where you are located and what time zone you're in.
Sure, vacation capital of the world, where everybody comes into the vacation, New Jersey, said tongue in cheek. And it's 17 minutes after 7. The only people who come to New Jersey are people who are going, anyway, let me not even go there. No. 17 minutes after 7.
Well, there you go.
In the evening.
Eastern. Yeah, so that's Eastern. And I struggle sometimes with the PST time zone if they say, oh, it's 10 o'clock in the morning, you know, which is midnight here. So that doesn't really work for me quite so much. So thank goodness that things are recorded. But I've made some wonderful friends, and that has helped with me staying connected and in touch, because that's what resilience is about. It's you want to have a resilient, robust organization, your company, so it can stretch and move forward, but when it takes a hit, you can come back to that center because you know where you're going. You use resources such as Smart Hustle, and you know, and Ramon has been interviewed, so you can Google him and you can watch him talking about lots of different topics and so on. Plus you've got a mailing list. Not that I'm doing this as sounds like I'm doing a big ad for
thank you, I appreciate it.
But you know, when something is really good, I will tell people this is a great thing to get involved in, and you know, to get resources from, and there's plenty of free resources there as well. Plus you've got the Facebook page, and then you've got your other gear going on, and you're a professional speaker, so you work. I was going to say minister too.
I'll take that. That's okay.
If people know, the people watching may be aware that I have this program. And then I also have a ministry program, and we are going to be interviewing Ramon on that side of things. So you'll get the backstory where it's so if you have an interest in faith or spirituality that's behind the scenes, or if you're just curious and thinking what really sort of goes on there, then join us again. It will be a different link. It will be on my personal Facebook page and getting transferred to my ministry page. It will be on my other YouTube channel, which is Trish Jenkins Ministries. But you can also find it youtube.com/Trish Jenkins Faith. I will put a link in there towards the end of this so that you'll be able to find us again for another half-hour chat, or just under half hour, so we can have time to switch over. But you will get that backstory as well. So, hey, we get it all covered. We get the business, we get the mindset, we get the emotions, and then we're going to get the spiritual stuff. So that's going to be great. Yeah, we'll get that extra super. That's the funny thing. Actually, you know, when I give a keynote and I talk about going to prison, and it's like, oh, you know, what helped you cope? And I was like, I have to say, you know, pastor's kid, and this is to a business, or I'm like, hey, you know, and then I go,
nobody can do it like a pastor's kid can. Nobody.
I know. I said, yes, some of you here are thinking, well, that explains it, doesn't it? You know, so it's an integrated part of who we are.
And as you may know, Trish, I am one as well. I don't know if you know that, but I am one. So
I didn't know you were a PK.
I am.
All right, there we go. So that's an interesting one. So let's see, we've got a few minutes left.
Sure.
The wisdom that you bring, and I can feel the energy vibe coming off you now. But what I love is that it's not just all hype. You know, sometimes you talk to people and you go on challenges, or you hear something and it's all high fives and hype, and nothing wrong with high fives and nothing wrong with passion, but there's got to be some substance to it as well. You've got to come off being with someone like Ramon, feeling like, you know what, he said this, this, and this. And let's just recap. You mentioned 3 things. Let's just recap them again if you remember the first.
Sure. What 3 things concerning what was the top? What was the?
It was to do with the second one was be content and good habits. And I didn't write down.
Sure, that's okay. I probably won't remember them, but these would be fresh gems. How I be inspired and come alive. I think, yes, 1 is being content. I think that's very important.
1.
I think 2 is the aspect of being able to say no, or saying yes, but being able to say no to things. So you can say yes to other things, or what you say yes to, you'll say no to. I think that's really point 2. 3rd is prioritization. I think that's really important. And because you can say yes to a lot of things, but the question is then when you do it. So I think those are 3 things. I can go more, but for the sake of this, I think saying yes to the right things, prioritization, being content. And yes, I did say as well, having habits. I think that's one thing that's helped me quite a bit for sure, right, is to have good habits. Yes, for sure. You did.
Yes. And the great thing about this is when people want to watch this again, they will be able to, I'll put those in the notes.
Sure.
I'll copy some of this transcript and put those in, because, you know, if you don't take care of the basics, doing all the fancy footwork won't help you. It'll be like building a house of cards.
That's right.
So, you know, that's really important. I do want to encourage people to join the Facebook group, Smart Hustle Nation on Facebook. It's there. If you are already connected to me, you might be able to go to my profile and find, you know, the groups that I'm in. But Smart Hustle Nation shouldn't be too hard to find on Facebook. And you've also got the website smarthustle.com. And if you are interested in having Ramon speak to your group, that's ramonray.com, I believe, would be.
Sure.
That would make sense to that's your website. Who are some of the companies that you've spoken for lately, Ramon?
Microsoft, Verizon, SAP, Salesforce, Oracle, a lot of companies.
Do they get you what do they most often get you to speak on? I know you've got a list of topics.
Sure.
That you do. What are the things?
And I've spoken in Australia, as I said. I think I may have mentioned to you before a couple of years ago as well. But I think 2 things companies are hiring me for, 2 things, and one I'm finding more prominent than the other, and I'm dialing down into it even deeper. Okay. I think 1, they're looking for somebody to entertain, add life and energy to their events. This is the one thing that I'm realizing, you know, as we're all narrowing down and niching or niching, where, you know, what's my specialty? What makes Ramon special? So that's 1, entertainment and high energy, which may sound like, oh, what's that? Well, a lot of companies want that. If you're trying to sell, hey, everybody, this is high-tech company. We have the latest, greatest pen, and your CEO's boring. Hi, we have a pen, 5.1 version. You need somebody to bring that sucker to life. And the second thing, of course, my personal expertise, having started 4 companies, sold 2 companies, is related to the marketing side of things. My book, Celebrity CEO. So my specialty is personal branding, marketing, social media, video, things of this sector, meaning what it's not finance, not mindset, not leadership, although I can talk about leadership, but it's not those things. My specialty is marketing.
Yeah, that's great. And I just put the name up of your book, Celebrity CEO, because and actually there's a download people can get a summary of how they can improve, like particularly for those who are their brand.
Sure.
So that certainly helps. And you know, that high energy and enthusiasm, I think, is particularly important given what we've been through in the last more than 12 months now with COVID. That yes, you've got to do the serious. Well, you know, high energy and enthusiasm is a serious business, because that is all about mental and emotional health, that things have been so serious and so dreary and so frightening. that that's why I bring a lot of humor. You know, when I talk to people about having gone to jail, you know, it's like, it's really, you know, that's a serious thing. And so, you know, I talk about, you know, how do you play Scrabble with Big Bertha? You know, with like, how do you do that? And it's, you know, she can spell that sucker any way she wants.
That's right.
Yeah, there are some funny stories that you bring, but they all have a point, because the strongest prison bars are in here. And so too with what you're doing with your business, that your limitations are all in here, and then finding a resource like what I do, what Ramon Ray does, he can be a great asset to your company, and with that marketing and tech side, with his enthusiasm and his passion, but also those practical tools for marketing your business, which I am using because I'm wanting to market mine. And, you know, I've got the mental and emotional stuff. You know, I know what to do there. I know how to get myself back into the right mindset. I know how to deal with difficult people, and how to and I know what my triggers are and how to grab them. But the practical side of things, about marketing, about keywording, about posting this video here, there, and everywhere, those are the things that I'm growing in too, and getting good at sales. So someone like Ramon, and see, I pronounced it right. It's Ramon, even with an Australian accent, it's Ramon. So we got that. Yep. You know, if an Australian accent would say Ramon.
It's perfect.
Twang.
It's perfect.
No, it's all good. So I want to encourage you that these are resources that I bring to you, people that I bring on, not just for the fun of it. It's partly to promote what I do, sure, Trish TV, but very much it's a resource to build your resilience as you watch this, and or you might be listening on the podcast, which I'll be uploading afterwards, or it might be through another source. This goes out, by the time I repurpose this interview, it will be going out to 8 resources and beyond. So it's out there, and I would love you to share it if you would like to. As you're watching this, if you happen to be watching on one of the like on the YouTube, if you could like, comment, subscribe, and share, that would be great as well. And we will start to wind up now, because we are going to go to a second interview. We will take a minute or two break to switch over. Ramon, it has been absolutely brilliant having you on. I am going to I'm going to create a banner I'll just put the YouTube one in for now, but if you're already watching on Facebook, I will refresh the page if you're on my personal page. Otherwise, it will be on my author page, my ministry page, but you can find my personal page. It'll be public. And if you are on YouTube, it will be youtube.com. This is the URL, is Trish Jenkins Faith. So I'll add that.
I like that new logo. It looks nice.
You like the logo? Yeah, I put the wrong one up.
Sorry. Hey, but I thought it was a precursor. It went. I thought it was like a pre, you know. That's
what it is. It's going to look like that. It'll be Trish Jenkins Ministries. But I had Trish Jenkins Faith as the URL before, so I haven't changed that over because I've got all my stuff. Anyway, I haven't yet learned that technology of getting it all up to date, but that's where we'll be. And the reason I've got the wrong logo up there is because it's for the it's the promo for the next one. That's what we'll call it. So we'll finish up here. Ramon, thank you so much. And we will take a couple of minutes to switch over. Hang on, I'll just turn this one and see, you know, when you have a producer or a team of people, they can be doing all this in the background, all the magic. But you know what? We're all building our businesses. We're all growing. I have great expertise in this area, and this one here, we're getting better at it. It's going well. So what am I doing now? I'm going to here. And Ramon, thank you so much. Welcome. And I will see you again in a few minutes, and we'll say goodbye and see you soon.